Hello everyone, welcome to Momma Jo's Kitchen. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you've been here before, thanks so much for coming back. Hey, I've got a really good one for you today. Now personally, I've not made this one before myself, but I've been wanting to, and I've had this little cut out little recipe for a long time. So I'll let you know who initially made this. And I was going to make this, I think it was last week. And I had bought the meat and had everything, was getting ready to make the recipe. And I needed pie crust. And I had bought, the refrigerated kind right here that comes in a roll. You get 2 to a pack. And you buy it in the refrigerated section in the supermarket. And I had gone grocery shopping that day, and I came home, and my husband helped put my groceries away. And guess what he did with it? He didn't stick it in the refrigerator. He stuck it in the freezer. So I was a little upset, but I was able to make a different recipe that day. But what I'm going to make for you today is called French Canadian meat pie. So it's a double crust. It has a bottom crust and a top crust. And I'm going to use this deep dish glass pie plate that I have here. And I have made meat pies before. I've done like I call it a shepherd's pie, but people say if you don't use lamb, then it's not a shepherd's pie. It's called a cottage pie. So I've made those before. I've done chicken pot pie. So this is kind of like that, I think, in my opinion. Now, I have too much meat over here. Let's talk about the meat. Initially, you would use ground pork, ground beef, and ground veal. And I like to change things up. Now, most of you know that have been watching my videos, we don't like ground beef, but we do like ground chuck. It's just, a little bit better grade of meat if you ask me. And I have 2.25 pounds. And really on the beef, it says half pound. It says 1 1/4 pounds of ground pork and 1/4 pound of ground veal. So pretty much you're looking at about 2 pounds of meat. So I'm going to take and do half of the ground beef chuck, which is a pound. And then I'm going to do half of the ground pork that I have here. This is 1.5 pounds. And then I'm going to do half of ground chicken. I think ground chicken would be really, really good in this. Try to see. Oh, this is a pound. But what I might do is brown all the meat together, and then divide it in half, because I'm not going to make 2 meat pies today, but maybe I can make 1 today, and then I already have the meat, already browned and done up for another time. Or I could throw it in another recipe. I could make chili, you could just do so much with this combination of meat. But by all means, if you don't want to do, ground chicken, you could do ground turkey, or you could do, like they say here, use veal. So I'm varying it for our taste. You're going to need, it says 1 cup of grated peeled potatoes. So I've had a few of these golden potatoes left, and I'm going to peel it. And I'm going to use the fine grate side here. And I'm going to grate enough that I know that I have 1 cup. It says 1/2 cup of grated onion. Well, my husband doesn't like onion pieces. So I think I'm just going to load it maybe with a tablespoon of onion powder after I drain the fat and grease off, because anytime that I do ground meat, I don't season it while I'm cooking it. I season it after I drain it. And that's just a personal preference, because you drain off all that grease, I feel like you lose, some of your seasoning too. let's see here. 3 garlic cloves minced. I have minced garlic. I've used up all my fresh garlic the other day. So I think that will be fine. You'll need salt, pepper, and let me tell you what I'm doing here. Have you heard of the spice savory, dried savory? I cannot find it. Maybe that is something you have to order online. I have looked at Food Line, I've looked at Walmart, and the closest thing that you can get to dried savory is thyme. So I do have that. So I'm substituting, it says 1/4 teaspoon of dried savory. I'm just going to use some of this thyme. And then it calls for sage. Now, I'm not a fan of sage. My husband likes sage, but I do have poultry seasoning, which has sage in it. So I'm going to use poultry seasoning, and it does call for just a little bit. It's about 1/8 of cloves. I know that seems kind of unusual, but it calls for just 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water divided. And then you're going to need breadcrumbs. I have panko crumbs, so I'm going to use that. If you have breadcrumbs, you could use breadcrumbs. And you're going to need 1 egg. And of course, I'm also, this is not called in the recipe, but I feel like I want something else in this meat pie besides, I mean, because you know you got a little bit of potato, but I think if you grate it, you're really not going to see the potato. I'm going to towards the end of the frying process of my ground meat, I'm going to chop these up a little bit more. I think shiitake mushrooms would be good in that. So that's just my variation. You don't have to do that. But I was going to tell you, this little insert, this French Canadian meat pie, it says Midwest Winter, and it says Meet the Cook. So Angie Moline, Calgary, Alberta, was the one. She says, I'm a 7th generation French Canadian, and my ancestors started the tradition of serving this meat pie on Christmas Eve. Wow, what perfect timing that is. Because we're only, what, like 5 days, or is it 4 or 5 days from Christmas now? So, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back, but I'm going to get my frying pan out. I'm going to get this meat browned up. And when I go to drain it, I'll bring you all back when I go to season it and put the potatoes and stuff in, and we'll go from there. Hey, I brought you all back just to show you that your pan won't be this full. This is my large skillet. Remember, I've got too much meat, and I'm going to brown all this meat, and I'm going to take about half of that out to use in another recipe, either to make another meat pie on a different day. I'm probably going to brown it, divide it in half, and then freeze after it cools down. I'll probably freeze half of that. So this looks like a lot, and it is for in this pan, but I have a lot of meat that's already been thawed out I have to do something with. And then I wanted to show you, I took one of those refrigerated pie crust and went ahead and put it in, you know, it doesn't come all the way, I mean, it comes up to the edge here, but not over. And I think it's going to be fine because when we roll, it's already rolled out, but when I put the other crust on top, I will probably tuck it maybe back here behind this crust. We'll see. So I'm setting that to the side. And then I took my mushrooms and I did rinse them according to the package directions. And I took and chopped them up a little bit more than what they were. Let's see if I can show you without making a huge mess here. Right there. There you go. And I will be putting that in when I go after I drain it and divide some of this meat off. And You know, I might leave a little bit of the grease in there just to fry them up. That really won't be necessary. I could drain them all off and still kind of saute them because we're going to finish it off in the oven. So we'll see. That looks like a lot of mushrooms, but they shrink down. So, and like I said, that's optional. That's not even in the actual recipe. I just wanted to, you know, change it up. I always try to fix recipes to where I think my husband will like it. Because I've got to get the potatoes done up too. Because the potatoes need to cook in here too. So, I'll get that done. I'll get these peeled. I'll get these shredded up. And I'll get this meat, you know, mostly browned and take half of it out. And I'll bring you guys back. Hey, as you can see, the meat here is still browning. The reason why I brought you all back, I know I don't have much room in here, but I'm going to try to get this shredded potato. It's already I shredded one, and it's already starting to turn brown. And the other one I just shredded. I'm going to try to go ahead and get it in here because I'd like to be able to cook the potato and the meat together. And then I'll get it drained off and bring you all back. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay. Boy, that was really, really full. I've taken off about half of it. I'm going to let this completely cool. And I plan on freezing this. Now remember that has the shredded potatoes in it. Okay, this is what we have left here in the pan. We have the 3 different meats. And I was able to get the potato in there and kind of cook it along with it. I want to get my mushrooms in there now. I don't need the little chopper here anymore. And now we're going to get this seasoned. I'm looking for my... Sorry about that. I don't want to scratch my pan up. I'm just going to get those mushrooms softened. Like I said, the mushrooms is just something that I added to it. So you don't have to put that in there. Maybe you don't like mushrooms. Okay, let me get some other seasonings in here. I took and pulled the leaves off of that fresh thyme. This is in replacement for the savory I couldn't find. Maybe you have better luck, or maybe you could order some. This is like a rounded 1/4 of poultry seasoning. And I'm going to do half because I don't have a 1/8. So, of the cloves. This is onion powder. Okay, we need to get some salt and pepper in here yet. Looking for my other measuring spoon. Now it calls for a half a teaspoon of black pepper. My husband loves black pepper, so I'm going to put in a teaspoon. You know, season it to how you think you would like it. So that's a half teaspoon, so I'm doing 2 of those. One and a half salt, it says. So this is a half. There's half. There's 1. And we'll do the other half. We still got some more stuff. See, it won't take those mushrooms long. So I'm going to go ahead and add my minced garlic. I'm probably going to add, Michael likes garlic, probably 3 teaspoons. Michael, you should smell this. He says he can smell it in there, and the living room's way over there. What'd you say? He says it's making him hungry. Okay, so at this point, you add the seasonings, and then you add 1/4 cup of water. Well, it says bring to a boil, so this pan's pretty hot. I'd say there's not enough liquid in there to actually see it boil, but boy, I can hear it. Well, it says reduce heat, cover and simmer for 15 minutes, stirring frequently. I do not think I need to do that. You're welcome to do that if you want, because I know everything is pretty much done already. So I'm going to pull this off the heat because you want to let it cool to room temperature. Michael doesn't like to wait for anything, so let me get this off. I'm going to get it pulled off the heat. That'll give me a chance to get everything cleaned up here. And when I think it's cool enough, we'll move to the next step, which will be to stir in our breadcrumbs, and then we'll take the 1 egg, and it says remaining water. So we already put in a 1/4 cup of water. So 2 tablespoons. 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons. So that 2 tablespoons and that egg, I guess I will beat that up after we got to let this cool off some. So I might transfer this to a bowl, you know, like a big metal bowl, because this pan is hot. I want this to cool off and as soon as possible, and get the breadcrumbs stirred in, and get that egg and 2 tablespoons of water mixed in. Then we're going to get it into our pie crust, and I'll bring you guys back for that, okay? Okay, we are finally ready to move on. Now, this is still warm, but it's not hot. So what I did is I transferred it from that skillet into this big bowl. I wanted to show you all. And that helped cool it, you know, down. You know, it's still warm. And I've been stirring it to try to help it, you know, cool off a little bit. So I don't think it's going to hurt the egg. I have 1 egg in this bowl with that 2 tablespoons of water, and I've just, you know, beat them together. I've got my oven over here preheating to 400 degrees. And then it said 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. And since I don't have the real fine breadcrumbs, this is the more coarse. This is the panko. And this is, you know, just my choice of doing. I'm going to put in, instead of 1/4, I'm doing 1/2 cup. So, the first thing we want to do is get that put in here with our meat and stirred. Just to incorporate. And then now I'm going to get this egg mixture in there. And that's going to act as a binder for the meat, along with the breadcrumbs. Okay, I hope I don't have too much meat mixture in here. I'm going to bring my little pie crust over here. See, this burner is still warm, so I'm kind of afraid to set it there. And hopefully all this will fit in here. I think it's going to be just fine. Try to get all of it in there. It smells really good. Actually, I think it was just the right amount. You know, because I estimated with all that other meat, I had to try to figure out about what half would be. Then, you know, this has got mushrooms in it. I don't have mushrooms in that one. So if I make another meat pie, I will go to the store and I will get some more shiitake mushrooms. Or you know, it doesn't have to be shiitake mushrooms. You could use the button mushrooms or whatever you like. You could probably add some veggies or something to this too if you wanted to. Now, here's the fun part. The top crust over here. I put it on a parchment paper, and you can't see it, but I have cut slits to the top of it. I'm going to try to see if I can roll this over. There we go. And just kind of try to center it. And then I thought I would take this crust and kind of bring it in and then tuck this one down under. Get these in. Just like so. The crust is starting to soften up a little bit. So I'm just tucking the crust a little bit. Because I don't want to trim it off if I don't have to. I'm pushing the one pie crust forward underneath, and I'm tucking the edges in. There goes my oven telling me it's preheated. Okay, I've almost got it all the way around. And then if you want to, you know, try to like pinch it, give it a little border. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. Okay, I'm just kind of pressing that on top. I'm going to take my knife. I want you all to see how I tucked the crust? I pulled the bottom crust in, and I tucked the extra crust on the outside inner part right here. And now I'm going to take my knife, because I already did it on the one side, but I really can't. I see some of it, and I want to make sure I've vented it. Okay, it says to take a piece of tin foil, cover the edges loosely, okay, with tin foil. I had a piece of tin foil, but you know what? I think it'll be all right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the oven. I'm just going to lay this on top like that. I'm not even going to put it around it. And I'm going to stick it in there at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And then it says remove foil. And then reduce your heat to 375 and bake for 30 to 35 minutes longer, or until crust is golden brown and filling is heated through. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick it in the oven just like that for 15 minutes. I'm going to set my timer. Then I'm going to come back. I'm going to turn it down to 375. I'm going to take the foil off, and I'll bake it for another 30-35 minutes. So I'm going to bring you back and show you what it looks like, and Michael's going to give you all a taste test. And hopefully, I've got my kitchen kind of pretty decent again, get it cleaned up. Hopefully I'll get another video and get that other dessert I wanted to get out to you all. So be looking for that one. We'll be back.
How you doing, YouTube? Here to taste test the French Canadian meat pie. The smell in the house has been absolutely amazing. Look at that. Absolutely delicious. The seasonings in the meat, amazing. You can taste the mushrooms. The crust is really good. That's awesome. That's the kind of meal you want to eat after coming in from shoveling snow. Thank goodness we don't have no snow, but I'll still eat it like it did snow. Excellent. 2 thumbs up. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Come back and check out all Momma Jo's videos. Get some more goodness.